Hello, Epic Horror fans. JTISREBORN here, bringing you another edition of Horror Movie of the Week. We got a show for you today. It's none other than the Colossal, the Titans of Terror themselves, Freddy and Jason going head-to-head in the 2003 film that is probably the best versus movie of all time, Freddy versus Jason. Now, I don't own this on its own standard disc. I bought it when I got the 4 film favorites of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. But, you know, they're coming out with the Blu-ray of it really soon. I think it's next week or maybe this week. I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, when that comes, I'm going to get the Blu-ray set. So, Freddy vs. Jason, you know, 1980, when the trailer came out for this movie, I shit my pants with excitement. Now, granted, this is like 10 years ago, and I was a lot younger back then. You know, so I was, what, like 9 or 10? Something like that, and I'm just like, oh my god. Freddy vs. Jason. I can't wait. I was counting down the days. They had the website, you know, they had the Las Vegas way, and on the website they had this countdown of when the movie was going to be released, and I was just like looking at it every day. This is back, you know, before YouTube and all that, and online videos weren't, you know, as common, so you couldn't find things as easily. It wasn't leaked online or anything like that, or maybe it was, but, you know, all you could really do is go to the website and just see, boom. I had to really create in my imagination what was going to happen because I couldn't see the movie in theaters. I had to wait, you know, until it came out on DVD or TV before I finally got a chance to watch this thing because, you know, I was a lot younger back then. I couldn't really go to the movies as much as I do today. But when I saw the movie, I'm like, wow, those two fighting, damn, that's fucking awesome. If you walked in towards the end of the film, you just saw these two guys, you'd be like, holy shit, what the hell is going on here? It's just like, fight scenes are awesome. Characters, they're not memorable, except Freddy vs. Jason, but that's pretty much the point. You don't care about anything else. You want to see Freddy versus Jason fighting in a combative state. Now, disappointing fact is Kane Hodder wasn't playing Jason. It was Ken Kurtzinger, which is disappointing. I really don't... There's like a whole story on it. Someone did a video called How New Line Ruined the Friday the 13th series. I'll put the link in that below so you can check it out because it's a very good video by the username. I can't remember the username off the top of my head, but I will post a link to the video if it's still up. But this was a pretty sweet movie. It's the best versus movie, better than Alien vs. Predator. And I'm talking about like crossing over franchises. I mean, we got Alien vs. Predator, Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys. Why don't we have more of these versus movies? Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman is another great one too, but this is one of the best. How about that? One of the best. One of the only good ones, too. But how come we don't have as many crossover films as we should nowadays? You know, it's pretty disappointing to see. It's just like, wow, we have all these potentials. Like, you know, Chucky versus Leprechaun, Michael Myers versus Leatherface. You know, or just keep including them in the series. But sadly, we just don't get as many of these as we used to. Or we barely even get them. And they make a ton of money. So I don't get why studios aren't clawing at, you know, to get these movies made, but we just don't have them anymore, which is disappointing. Jeez, Freddy vs. Jason was, no, we had AVP Requiem, but that movie sucked, but man, they were going to make a sequel to this. It could have been Freddy vs. Jason versus Ash, and then they had the comic book series, which continued the story. There was 2 of them, there's versus Ash, and then versus Ash, like, Nightmare Warriors or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that would have been awesome. Originally, the ending for this movie was to have them go both, like a giant hand come out of the water and take them both, drag them to hell, and when they're in hell, they're ready to fight, and then Pinhead comes up saying, gentlemen, what seems to be the problem? And I guess they couldn't get the rights to Pinhead, but that right there would have been like, holy shit, everyone, this is awesome, man. But sadly, we don't get this. Now, let me first go over the plot of the movie. Continuity-wise, you know, it's a little iffy because it pretty much contemplates what happened after Freddy's dead, Freddy being destroyed and all, and Jason, who knows what this is supposed to be, but kind of look at it as its own thing. Maybe it's at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, but that movie continuity-wise, so continuity-wise it's kind of like iffy, but the story basically goes as this. Freddy Krueger is pretty much in a weakened state. You know, nobody remembers him. Springwood decided to, you know, wipe him out. They gave all the kids Hypnosil so that they couldn't dream. And, yeah, Freddy just needs some reason to get himself back into killing mode. So he finds Jason Voorhees, who's pretty much underground, who's been like in a sleeping state. He disguises himself as Jason's mom and is like, go to Elm Street and, you know, kill these people. And Elm Street just happens to be walking distance. You know, story-wise, that's the tough. People were just like, why don't they just make the movie? Story-wise, that's the toughest part to nail, is getting these two to come together. But I thought they did a pretty good job. They had a bunch of other storylines, but you know, I'm glad they settled on this one. But why didn't we get a sequel? That's all I got to say. So, Jason Goes to Elm Street, starts slashing some people up. The kids are just like, who was it? Who was it? And then like some dumbass cop's like, hey, was this him? Was this Freddy Krueger? And then some girl's like, what? Who the hell was that? And she just is like, who was the name? Freddy. And then boom, Freddy's sphere instantly pops up, and you know, they just spread the word around town. So but the fight scenes in the movie are awesome. I like how they have that Jason is stronger in the real world and Freddy's stronger in the dream. And it really just shows power, if you will. So no matter what, it's just like, how do we stop them both? Because Jason Voorhees seems more vulnerable than Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is more the main bad guy of the movie, with Jason being kind of misunderstood. But they still want Jason gone because he's slashing all these people. So they're not safe or awake or asleep. So granted, they drag Freddy out into the real world, and him and Jason have like the most epic brawl I've ever seen. And wow, I just want to watch the fight scenes. That's how awesome they are. But Freddy vs. Jason is a pretty kick-ass film. I'm really disappointed they never made a sequel to it. Why didn't they make a sequel? I mean, this movie made a ton of money, and I'm talking about mucho dinero, lots of cash. And it was made on like a decent budget, like 30 million, 115 million worldwide or something like that. So obviously fans would be more into these versus movies because they bring box office grosses up. Maybe they'll make one now, but they still haven't made the sequel to the Friday the 13th remake. Maybe they can cross over that in the Elm Street series to, you know, make more money. I would love to see a remake of Freddy vs. Jason. Make it Jason vs. Freddy and just have the remakes characters go at it. I mean, story-wise, it could work. Maybe Nancy goes to Crystal Lake. She gets killed, and Freddy's like, hey, those are my people, Jason, you asshole, and I'm going to slice you up and get you for it. I don't know. Maybe Freddy gets dragged out into the real world and comes across Jason. But, you know, storyline-wise, let's not worry about that. I just wish they would have made a sequel. That's my only gripe with this whole thing. But anyways, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Horror Movie of the Week. Freddy vs. Jason is an awesome entry in the series. Probably the best out of the Jason movies. Freddy, maybe not, but Freddy, you know, can develop more because he's got a voice. Jason, it's more of like he's a silent killer, so. But, yeah, that was pretty sweet, and I can't wait for the Blu-rays of the whole Friday the 13th set to come out so I can get that, because I own the Elm Street movies, on all of them on Blu-ray, and, yeah, I want, like, a better quality version of Freddy vs. Jason, because the Blu-ray is supposed to have an amazing quality, and if they're releasing it with the whole series, then I can get it all like that, and boom. Alright, so that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to Epichorrorfans. I'll post that video explaining how New Line ruined, I guess, the Friday the 13th franchise. This guy does an amazing video, by the way. Kudos to you, man. And next week, next week's horror movie of the week will be the remake, and it'll be Friday the 13th next week. So you get to see Epichorrorfans tackle the series. So thank you for watching that. Have an awesome, week, and I'll see you soon. So bye bye.